Looks like we're live here. This is Rob Breedlove coming to you straight from over the air and broadcasting live on Google Hangout here. Today I'm going to be interviewing, he should be coming on any few minutes, any second here actually. I'm going to be interviewing Stephen Essa, who is the webinar master. I've listened to quite a few of his podcasts with him in them and realized it would be a huge value to myself and to others to do an interview with him and talk with him because he's done so much. I think he's done literally hundreds of millions of dollars on webinars, and I'm really excited that we can gather him in today and talk to him. He should be coming on very shortly here, but before he does, well, actually, we'll just hold steady until he gets on board here. So let's make sure he hasn't messaged us yet. So I don't see anything quite yet, but we should be having him come on here very shortly. By the way, I'm glad you're here. Thank you for taking time out of your day or night, whatever it is for you, to join us for some amazing interviews for entrepreneurs to gather together, to mastermind together, to figure out ways that we can increase our business, help more people around us in the world, and do good. So with that, we'll hold steady until we get Stephen on the line here. All right, we'll adjust the mic volume here.
G'day, Rob.
Hey, good day, Stephen. How are you?
Yeah, good, thanks, mate. Good. Just finished a personal training session, so I didn't have time to have a shower.
Oh, that's all right. We don't mind at all. Here, I'm going to take this over. Let me lock you in so that they don't see me anymore. I'm going to put you as the presenter so that you're the main focus here.
Oh, no, that's terrible.
Thanks for joining us. I appreciate it. I think I'm a little stunned here that I think I've watched probably maybe 10 or 12 of podcasts with you in them. And I was tempted to try and give your background without you, but I'll let you give it instead. Appreciate you taking time for us. So wanted to get started. What I'm doing is I'm doing filming here, interviews with people who've done very successful, done well in the entrepreneurial world for people like myself who looking to do like a side thing so that we can get into a full-time thing. So I love your webinar podcast that you've done, and I sort of wanted to build from there and get into JV stuff if you have any time. And so we'll get with that without further ado. Why don't you, if you don't mind, give us a little bit of a background. how you got into all this. I have a question on here. Where was your entrepreneurial bug starting at? Oh, Stephen, I think I lost you here. I'm sorry. You're on mute. I think for some reason you were talking to me, and then hang on one sec here. Go ahead. Yeah, I think I may have here. Let me unmute. I was trying just to get you back on.
Yeah, you unmuted me. You muted me there. Yeah.
There we go. Okay. I was trying. For some reason, I had you, and then all of a sudden, okay. Keep going. I apologize.
Okay. So do you want us to start again?
Yeah, if you don't mind, would that be okay?
Yeah. So I first got started on the internet in 2008 when I was working for a real estate investment company. I'd spent many years in the music business, 13 years in the music business, trying to make it, and I never had much chance in school because the way that I was learning wasn't the way they taught in those days. So no matter how hard I tried to focus, I just couldn't learn in the way that they were teaching in the school. So basically, I got into music to try and get out of the rat race and the typical 9 to 5. And then after the music business collapsed, I went to America for a couple of years, and they said the music business is collapsing. It's a bad time. Then I said, well, I think I'm going to go back to Australia and build a business on the internet and invest in real estate. So I didn't really know how I was going to build a business on the internet. All I knew was everyone else was making money, and that there was a tremendous opportunity with these computers to learn how to use them and figure out how to sell and market on the internet and make money. So initially I started out trying to build a website similar to Craigslist when I got back to Australia. And I had one meeting with a guy, and we never met again. And so that was the beginning and the end of my internet business in 2005. And then after that, a friend introduced me to property, and I'd been looking at property for a long time and got into property in 2006, and then 2008 the GFC happened. So I'd already bought like $1 million worth of property, and after the GFC, it basically halved. So I had $1 million worth of debt, or over $1 million worth of debt, but only property portfolio worth $500,000. So, you don't have to be a mathematician to know that's not good. So I had now a massive problem. I was more broke than when I was a musician, and I had no money. So I kind of went and revisited the internet thing again, but more so helping my boss's business. And I always tell people, when you're getting started, on the internet, you can fall into the trap of learning and learning and learning and learning and learning. Yeah. One of the best things you can do is start implementing what you're learning so you can actually see how it works in the real world. I always tell people, spend 90% of your time doing real things and 10% of your time learning new things. So if you're studying Facebook ads, make sure you implement it in someone's business. It doesn't have to be your business. You can go and do it for free. Like I did it for free for my boss. And I would spend weekends, working on their websites and things like that, just figuring out how different things work. And even if you're not technical, like I wasn't technical, and I still don't know how to program things and code things and all of that, there's so many different softwares out there now. You just got to find the one that works for you, the one that's easiest for you, and just spend some time on it. And what I find, Rob, is people who are looking to transition from working in a job or in their own business to an online business, they're too hard on themselves. You got to not don't be too hard on yourself and give yourself some time. I looked at this like I did an apprenticeship. I'm a body mechanic by trade, and I looked at this online business like, wow, what can I achieve in 4 years? Like in 4 years, that's an apprenticeship. So after 4 years, I'm going to look at that, and I'm going to look at what worked, what didn't, and then I'm going to make my trade the rest of my life. I'm going to focus on doing the things that worked in those first 4 years. So look at the first year or 2 years or 3 years or 4 years as you're going to get in and you're going to try stuff. You're going to do stuff for people for free. You're learning, okay? And you learn by doing. Like I didn't learn by listening. I learned by doing. And most importantly, you see what works and what doesn't work. Because some experts will say to you, this works really good, and then you try it and it doesn't work, and then people get discouraged. Well, I say you got to try everything because we don't know what's going to work. We know from our past history what's worked, so we can get a roundabout idea if we sell something like this, or if we to this target market, or if we package it this way. We know we're going to make some sales, but at the end of the day, we don't know what's going to work till we get it into the real world. That's why I always start every business that I start, and I launched over 30 brand new businesses last year. They all started with a 60 to 90-minute webinar. And the reason I do that is because if you can't sell something to someone after talking for 60 to 90 minutes, what chance do you have of, having text on a page with some pictures and trying to sell them that way? Virtually no chance, and that's what happens to people. They rush out. The first thing they do is build a website, get some business cards, or you design the logo. All of those things don't make you money when you're first getting started. The best thing to do is do a webinar, get 10 people there. If one person wants to buy from you, then you've got a business. And you don't even create the product until you've sold it. So if no one buys the product, you don't actually have to create it. And that's my philosophy. That's what I teach people. And I basically get a higher conversion, a 10% conversion rate on our webinars, sometimes more. And sometimes less, depending on who's there and the target market. But that compared to a website, where the experts say that 1% conversion is considered exceptional. Webinars just demolish websites as a way to start a business and get your feet in there.
Wow, I love that. So you just skip everything else and say, okay, if we're going to make this work, let's try and sell it first. And then if they buy it, then you've got a product you can move forward with.
Yeah, now that scares a lot of people, but customers prefer to actually buy it first and then get it delivered later. Primarily, we're talking here about information marketing. I don't think you can sell a refrigerator today and then 6 months later build it and deliver it. I don't think that's going to work, but it works with information products really, really well. For example, we'll do a free webinar presentation. We'll do a 10-minute introduction. We'll do 40 minutes of great content. And then we'll offer a product or service that is basically just more webinars. So we might add, 8 webinar topics that we're going to cover. And if someone buys it, we deliver one per week over the next 8 weeks. And that way you only need to be 1 week ahead. And I've surveyed audiences all over the world. I even recently spoke in Brighton in the UK, where there was like 2,500 people there. And I said to the audience, who would prefer to buy a product ready to go from an expert and get all the videos versus for $300 versus the expert's going to be there live with you every single week to record each session and answer your questions? Which one would you rather for $300? And almost 99% of the crowd, there's always a project manager or an engineer that says, give me the videos and let me work on it myself, right? And what I find is project managers and engineers will struggle the most with building an online business because they have to have everything measured and set up perfectly first. And in online business doesn't work the same way as building a building. Building a building, you've got to have everything, designed and done and architecturally size-wise and everything. There's no room for, there's not much room for adjustment. You've got to know how many stories you're doing. And that's just not how an internet business works. And I find project managers and engineers struggle the most with that because of, you know, the way they lay things out in their brain. They're really, really intelligent, and they struggle with that. So that's what I've found over the years. They just, no matter what. And here's what, every time I have a project manager or an engineer that says, no, my program's different. You can't do that with my program. Okay, well, first, you know, I know that you can do that with any program because there's courses that you can do, and they go one a week. You know, courses don't go, oh, here's everything. You know, like a textbook. You know, like here's a textbook. You know, go and read that. That doesn't help someone. So so what ends up happening? And I coached the former manager of Novak Djokovic, the tennis player. One of his managers was one of my clients, and he's just an amazing guy, an amazing brain, just gifted at helping people get to peak performance in business or as an athlete, and just the mindset. And he talked about, you know, what it takes and everything. And so I did the same thing. I put the webinar together, and I said, we're going to sell this product for $300 and you're going to create it later. And he was like, oh no, it's like, you know, I can't. And I was like, no, you can. It's just one, you know, we're going to list what it is, what the modules are. And you just have to be 1 week, prepare the module that week and do it. And the thing that people need to realize, Rob, is that modules and courses and information products don't have to be long. Okay?
Right.
Like
right.
how long do you think a module should be for in someone's program? One module, how long should it be? What's the right time?
Oh, I have no idea, but I was thinking like my attention span after about 10 minutes, I'm, you know, unless it's really super like this isn't engaging and exciting to me, but if I've got to learn something, it's 10 minutes is pushing it.
Yeah, the answer is it needs to be as long as it needs to be to get the point across.
Sure.
You know? So if you can tell someone how to do something in 5 minutes, give them some homework to do, why would you waste an hour of their time waffling on about yourself and saying all the stuff that doesn't help them? So no one is going to complain that you made your program too easy or too short if you're explaining to them what they need to know how to do things. So, you know, if I'm teaching you how to do market research, for example, I'm going to basically say, okay, here's what you do. Go to this website. Here's how you actually do the research. And then I'm going to say, now here's homework. Go and do what I just showed you, and then come back to me next week.
Sure.
And that's all it is. I was just looking for a personal training course I bought from Mike Chang, the six-pack abs guy who's always on YouTube. I met those guys and the partners who run the channel, and it's just a great business, great bunch of guys. They make a lot of money. They make like, you know, 6 figures a week in that business. And when I bought the course before I met them, it was a $97 course. And it was 4 or 5 videos inside it. And basically I would just watch it on my iPhone and go and work out. And it was just when I bought it, it looked like someone was just videoing him on an iPhone, and I mean, they weren't even mic'd up properly, and the quality was, you know, pretty average, right? But did I care about the quality, or did I really want to have 6-pack abs?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I mean, I bought the program for that, and it was just, I had a laugh because I go, look, my students, they procrastinate over starting their business and doing videos, and look what these guys are selling for $97, just them in a garage with some text on the thing saying repeat 3 times. You know, and I didn't even think twice about it. I was like, I didn't care, because people who buy your product and service don't care about anything other than the result that they're going to get. And if you help them create that result, then that's all they want. And the best way to do that is step by step, 1 session a week. And then after you've done that, you've got all the recordings. Anyone who buys it in the future, you now have a digital product that you've recorded. They get the replays. And that's how we start every business. And then here's what we found as well, Rob. 20%, up to 20% of people who buy the first product for $300 will buy the next product, whether it's an advanced course for $1,000 to $2,000, or whether it's a high-end done-for-you package, or high-end one-on-one mastermind or something like that. So You know, that's where the money's made in an online business. You know, there's no money in the front end. The front end of a business, the first product will give you some cash, maybe some lifestyle, but at the end of the day, finding out what customers want to pay top dollar for, and then giving them that result faster, easier, one-on-one, doing it for them. You know, I started out for a $297 product, and now we sell a $75,000 product. You know, and $50,000, $25,000 product, and the people who buy those, you know, want fast results. They're happy to invest. You know, there's always someone who's got the money, but they don't have the time to waste.
Sure.
And what most people do when they start an online business is they write an ebook, and they expect to get rich from. You know how many ebooks you got to sell to get rich? It's a hell of a lot of ebooks, you know. And by the time it's selling, everyone else realizes it's a bestseller. They write topics on it. Now it dilutes the market. You know, I say go into a competitive market where people are spending a lot of money, and find a little niche within that. And sometimes the niche can be as easy as all the other internet guys are selling coaching and courses. You sell your time. Sell it for the same price what they're selling a course for, because then you'll get more value to the customer. For the same dollar, you will get that dollar, and then you will work with that customer, and you'll get the results, the testimonials, and most importantly, the belief. Because the biggest thing that holds people back in an online business or any business is the belief that they can't do this, the belief that I'm not technical, the belief that you know, you have to be smart, or you have to be this, or I'm not a guru, or the belief that, you know, I've only got 5 properties and Robert Allen has 500 properties. Who am I to talk about property and teach people? But the truth is, everyone I've ever met, Rob, has a $4,000 to $10,000 a month business inside their head with the knowledge, expertise, skills, previous employment, okay, or talent, natural talent that they have. They all have a $4,000 to $10,000 a month business. The only difference is that the people who are doing it believe in themselves. And how do you build belief is the next thing that people need to know. And how do I build that belief? The only way to do it is do it. Okay, you got to build belief on keep your price really low in the beginning, so you know you're offering value. Take as many customers as you can. Okay, get busy, get fully booked, because at that point, when you're fully booked and people are getting results, you're going to start saying to yourself, I'm worth more. And this is the biggest problem in our society is people don't value what they know. They don't value themselves. And, you know, people can't buy something from you if you don't value yourself, if you don't value your time, you don't value your knowledge. So what starting out at $300 does, okay, and working with people until they're successful, it gives you confidence and it builds that self-esteem within yourself that you need. Because, you know, let's face it, school did not teach us how to be business owners. So we are doing something completely foreign. We spent the first 17, 18 years of our life in a system that was designed for employees, a system that was designed by the Rockefellers to basically have great employees in the factories, right?
Amen.
So it's not, and that's not bad, right? In those days, that's what we needed, right?
Yeah.
But as Rupert Murdoch says, right, and Rupert Murdoch's Australian, he's smart. He basically said we have a 19th century or 18th or 19th century school system in a 21st century world. Okay, so we live in a fast changing world, but we're still getting educated, and we've been educated in that way. So I see it's really disappointing. So many talented people that come to our webinars, workshops and things that are just so brilliant at what they do, and their just confidence is beat up because now they're 50 and 60 years old, and they've been kicked out of the workforce, and they know that there's not going to be enough money for retirement because they were lied to. The savings plans that was designed, it was not enough, and they didn't realize early enough that it wasn't going to be enough, and there's not going to be the big pension that they expected. So now they're scared, and now they've got to learn this new technology. I mean, you know, what is this thing? You know, like how because they've been trained to be employees, they don't know how to be business owners. And so I always tell people, sell your product low, offer some webinars, because if no one buys, you don't have to deliver anything. Offer as much coaching as they can get. In, like, you know, I always throw in there 6 or 12 sessions one-on-one whenever I'm starting a business, because I want you, if you're starting a business and you're selling something for the first time, number one, give great value. So sell for $300 a webinar series, sell 6 coaching calls or 12 coaching calls, one-on-one on Skype or over the phone or in person, email support, load it up, right, with great value, that things that you don't have to create if no one buys it. So if no one buys your $300 product at the end of your webinar, you don't have to deliver any more webinars because no one's going to be there. You don't have to deliver 12 coaching calls one-on-one because no one's bought it. And you don't have to answer any emails because no one bought it either. So always give things in the first initial product that you don't have to create if no one buys it. And then if someone does buy it, deliver your ass off. Do whatever you need to do to make them successful, and then ask them for a video testimonial about their results. And then you will start to gain confidence. Word will get out there that you're doing a good job, and then you will start to boost your prices and then find out what else they want to sell them more solutions. Okay, because selling is just a solution. You know, we can take the world's best salesman. We could get one of these famous big copywriters, right? And we could pay them $10,000 or $20,000 to craft the most amazing piece of copywriting you've ever seen. I mean, the images and the text, and it's just the best, the most amazing sales letter. But if it's a sales letter about knitting, okay, and we're trying to, the only people who are coming to the website are NFL football fans, what chance do we have of selling a knitting product to NFL football fans? We have no chance of selling a knitting product. So what it comes down to, marketing comes down to the target market and being on target. And if you know that you're talking to football fans, right, and you've got a product that can help football fans either increase their chance of winning on gambling or whatever it is that they want, you don't have to be a perfect salesman or pay someone $20,000 if you know what their pain is, what the solution is that they want. Okay, so let's say, for example, the football fans who gamble. That's a very specific market, right? Not everyone who watches football gambles, right? Let's say you had a solution for increasing their chances of winning by 50%, right? You can't say that in the wrong way. Right. You don't have to be a copywriter. All you have to say is, I'm going to attention NFL football fans. I'm going to show you how to increase your chances of winning on your next bet by 50% or more using this one simple trick. Right? There isn't an NFL fan who's gambling right now, right? Who's going to gamble on the next game that's not going to put their name and email down for that webinar. Okay. Sure. And then if you get them to the webinar, at that point you address their, where they're at, you're talking to them, you know who you're talking to. Again, you could fumble your way through the webinar, you could drink water like this. You could burp, okay, on the webinar. You could say, sorry guys, I've never done this before, and it's like, hey, how's this thing work, and whatever. You could mess the whole thing up, but they're hanging on every word because they want to know how to get what? How to get 50% more chance of winning that next bet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And this is what people come to me and they say, aren't webinars old? Aren't webinars boring? Like, anyone who says your webinar's boring wasn't the target market. Okay.
Sure.
Someone who says to you, oh, are you using PowerPoint slides again? Oh my God, PowerPoint's so boring. They're not the target market. Because if you're showing someone how to cure an illness, okay, or overcome some issue, or refix their relationship, or make money because they don't know how to pay rent this week, or get 50% more chance of winning on that next NFL bet, or their wife's going to cancel the app on their phone because they've lost all their money. If you're not really showing someone how to deal with something, and they're not interested in that thing, then it doesn't matter what you say, what color slides you, how your branding is, what the product's called. Doesn't matter, because they're not the target market. Okay, if they're the target market, they will hang on every word, and 10% of them will buy at the end of the webinar if you offer something irresistible to them. And irresistible means that you're giving more value than you're getting in dollars.
Okay, so I have a question for you. So I'm a medical / dental consultant.
Yeah.
And I want to work with dentists helping. So most dentists have like 2,000-3,000 patients, and I've listened. Like the last podcast I listened to, you brought up the whole joint venture thing, and it just sort of blew my mind. I loved it, and I thought my clients already have their own built-in base, right? They 2,000, 3,000 patients every year that they see and help. How could I help a dentist with have them use webinars? Is there, because I've thought of that JV model of, hey, let's set it in place for them to get their, I don't know, because they work on teeth. I don't know if you can, I don't know. Maybe that's like selling a refrigerator, but I feel like there's a way. There's got to be. Your vet figured it out, right?
Yeah, that's right. Well, we had we helped build the biggest vet education company in the United Kingdom. One of our students, Anthony Chadwick, started with us in 2010, and within 12 months he made more money from his online business than his vet business. So he basically sold the business and now has the biggest vet education business in the country, and really pioneered that whole market. You know, basically what he was doing was teaching other vets. So he was a dermatology specialist, so he had very specialized knowledge. Okay. And so you find someone. If you found someone who's a dentist, or, you know, I think it's an orthodontist, is that what it's called? The next level of straightening and all of that stuff?
Yeah.
So find someone who's a real specialist, who's built a successful business and done a really good job, and convince that one dentist to work with you and create a dental vet model, like the vet model, sure, like a dental webinar model. So basically that dentist shows dentists how to run a successful practice, how to hire the right people, and also how to do the job better to get more people in, how to market their business. Okay, because so many people who are self-employed, whether it's a lawyer, an accountant, like right now I'm actually in talks with an accounting firm to take half the business and add webinars to that business and a whole nother leg. You know, I've always wanted to own an accounting business, you know, because I think you can get a better job done on your books, right? So basically, you know, people dream of owning sports cars and things like that. You know, I drive a Toyota. I'd rather put the money into buying another business that's going to make me more money. You know, it's what's important to you. And not that there's anything wrong with, you know, sports cars and stuff. I love sports cars, but we're just reinvesting into businesses because we get a better return than what you get from a sports car. But basically, we're now in talks with them. To take over half their business, you know, own half the business by adding what we do to the table. So showing them how to sell and us bringing the customers to them. So, you know, that's a great model, and that's something that I think dentists would really like to know, how to get more customers, and then also how to get themselves out of the business. So I think once a dentist has got enough customers, another thing that they could possibly do is figure out, how do I now get myself out of the business so I don't have to work there if I don't want to, you know? So that's another thing. So just have a look at the webinar vet model and how he's done it with the vet niche. He now runs the biggest virtual online web vet conference every year, called the International Webinar Vet Virtual Congress and Exhibition, and he sells tickets to that every year, and it's a great model. So doing something like that is huge. And I met with a dentist in Victoria recently, and he was looking at doing something like that. Very successful dentist, very successful. He sort of felt that dentists probably wouldn't go online as much as they're going offline, but I think that he's missing the next generation coming through, because you want to try to be first. You know, if you can be first in this market, it's good. But I think that I'd be looking at something like that as opposed to trying to get the vets to sell something to their clients. You know, I'd be looking at a model like that and get them to pay you a monthly fee, say $50, $100 a month, to get access to the latest. It's a newsletter. It's a newsletter delivered via a webinar every month. I mean, which dentist is not going to pay for cutting edge information from some big guru dentist that built the biggest ever business or straightened more teeth than anyone else, or is going to teach them, stuff that they can use in their dental practice,
Sure.
educate them on the latest stuff that's coming out. I mean, it's a no-brainer. It's an email to their inbox with the latest webinar once a month, $50 a month. I mean, you'd sell 1,000 of them in the first year easily.
Yeah. No, I could totally see that. And I originally had thought of, because I talk with these guys all day long, right? That's what I do for work. So I watched I can't remember which one it was, and I thought, I originally was trying to figure out a way where they could use webinars with their patients, because I probably know, but what you're talking about is probably the best model, because they all are asking me, how do we make more money? How do we do this? How do we do that? But I had originally thought, I wonder if there's a way to market to the patient, but maybe, there might not be. It might be, like you said, selling refrigerators.
You got to look at who's spending money. Okay.
Sure.
A patient is not spending money. A patient is going to do teeth whitening. How much is that? $100.
Right.
And when are they going to come back? 6 months later.
6 months.
What's the lifetime value? What's the lifetime value of a dental customer?
$9,000.
$9,000, right? It's not really. I mean, and sure, he wants to get those. He or she wants to get those customers, right? They want as many of them as they can.
Right.
But what they really, really want, okay, is to have a business that, how do I find those customers, okay, is my problem. I know how to service them and whiten their teeth when they get there. I know how to fix a hole, okay, but is there another specialized skill that I can add to my business and my skill set and my other dentist skill sets that we can charge more money? So they want to know how they can do extra things over and above what they're doing. So a normal dentist might want to know how to put braces on. Okay, and so you can educate them on the best practices for that, or you can basically teach them how to grow their business better, or how to get those customers in the door instead of selling to the customer.
Sure.
Showing them how to upsell to the customer and all of that stuff as well. I mean, sure, that's great, but I think really tapping into what it is that they really want, and for most business owners, it's to be able to leave the business and let it run on its own when they want to. Not all people. Like, I love working with people. Like, if I didn't get to work with people, I'll get very bored. But I don't want to work with people 12 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Right.
And that's like any professional. Any professional doesn't want to, work with people that much. They're doing it because they have to, because they get paid per person that they see. If you can show vets how to leverage, as if vets and pilots, I say it so much because they're my clients, but if you can show dentists how to do that, then you're going to be on a good wicket.
Got it. Okay, so I do have another question for you. You said you started with your boss's business, and that was the whole model that you've already talked about, where first 4 to 6 months should be just considered, hey, this is learning time, do it for free or do it for a minimal cost or whatever. But what's the fastest way, like for example, if I had a product, maybe one we just talked about, who knows, I go try it out first and then take it out? Because I know, like, the joint venture model, I know all the labs, they all have thousands of dentists that they work with and so on and so forth. When is the point you want to take it over to your joint venture model and say, okay, now instead of doing, I want to find one here, one there, let's go to the guys who have 1,000 of these of my ideal clients?
Yeah, I think the first thing I have to just correct what you said is, okay, I didn't say go and spend the 6 months learning. Okay, go and spend the first 4 years doing. Okay, there's a difference between learning and doing. Okay, we want to be doing. Okay, we don't want to be learning practical things and then not implementing them. So the next question you said is, okay, there's 1,000 potential people that you can access through one joint venture partner. When do you go and get that joint venture partner? Is that right?
Yep, that's it.
You go and get them and make them the offer when you know that you and them are going to make money from the deal.
Got it. So once you've made money from it and you know this works and makes money, then you go after it.
Yeah, like I don't start out with the whales. You know, I've done some. Like when I first started out, I knew who the whales were. I knew who had the big databases, right? I knew, but I didn't approach them day one because I wanted to build organically. See, my businesses, all of them, they grow. They don't double every year, although we have doubled year on year from $1 million to 2 million, $500,000 to $1 million. Our businesses have, okay? But if you actually look at a chart of the businesses we build, there's actually a steady increase, okay? And sometimes it's double but it's going up. Okay, and I've always started that way. Every business we start that way. And I say don't get ahead of yourself, because you need time. You need time to not only, to create the webinar and then sell it. You need time to deliver and measure the results of those first 10 people, those first 10, 20 customers. The first 100 is very important. See, the first 100 customers in a brand new business will tell me, number one, it will help us measure the front-end product and how much we can sell it for. So we'll start out at $300, but I'm looking anywhere in the price range from $300 to $5,000 for that first program, depending on what the market value is that everyone else is charging. So to give you one example, we had an options trading business, started from scratch. All the other courses sell for $5,000 to $10,000. We sold ours for $1,000, and we put in one-on-one sessions with the expert. Okay, now within 2 years we were charging $5,000. Okay, by the time we got to 100 customers, we'd already figured out how many would spend $20,000 to have one-on-one forever. Okay, for another year. So we'd already figured out everything from the first 100 customers, and then we just went, now it's a numbers game. We now know exactly how much money we can spend. We now know if we go and do a deal with these 1,000 dentists over here, that how much money we're going to make, because we've tested it on a small group. So, I've always kept my eyes and ears open for who's got the big databases, but I've never rushed out to go and get a deal with every single one of them. I do one deal at a time. And the other thing as well is that, sometimes these deals take years to nurture. So, for example, one guy I did in 2009, I found out about his business, and I used to get his newsletter even when I was working for my old boss. And the years went past, and someone mentioned my name to him, and then he said, yeah, maybe. And then I thought he was going to call, and he never called. And then eventually got to the point, bumped into him somewhere and had talked, and then, became friends, but, didn't really talk again after. And, basically it took till 2015. 2015, we did a little tour together, and made around about $700,000 in a couple of weeks.
Wow!
So that relationship, and that relationship is ongoing as well. So there's other deals I can bring to that now. So you don't want to rush out and do a joint venture deal and ruin it. Yeah, I'm not saying don't go and do it. I'm saying go and do, but do one at a time. Start out sort of small. Okay, if you're brand new, if you already know your conversions, go for the whale straight away. Okay, Another example of that is recently I got invited to speak in London and present my webinar live, and there was a promoter that I met in 2009, and he's got a massive network, and he has 2,000 to 6,000 people at his events, and very smart guy, very good businessman, and has a very loyal following. And met him in 2009. He wouldn't have even remembered me, but emailed him this year, and he did a deal, and thousands of people. We did about $510,000 in 90 minutes. Together. So.
Wow, that's great.
Yeah. So it's about quality, building quality within yourself, within your own products, getting the confidence, and then going to those people, and then working with them. And when you do the right thing and you pay them on time, and you keep a good reputation, then you'll have a good business, But don't feel like you need to jump straight to $1 million in the first year, although you can. What you want to do is build quality within your business. Good delivery, good support, good admin, and all of that stuff.
Got it. I feel like way better than going to university.
Well, for webinars it is, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So you spoke a little bit to me earlier when you said the school system. I dropped out of high school. It just bothered the heck out of me. The teachers, a lot of them didn't really know what they were talking about. Neither did I, but I could tell that they didn't either. And I go to college again. College is simple because you sit in the front row, you raise your hand to every question, and you can get A's. But I see all these kids, and they just don't know what they're doing. And if there could be a school like this, that's what you should do, Stephen, is create a school. And
yeah, I think the problem with that is that age bracket is not the target market.
You're right. You're right.
This is the thing. People who are in pain right now are the people over 50 because they're retiring soon. There's not enough money. People who are 21 and 30 years old, they think they're going to live forever and that there's going to be enough money forever and they can work forever, right? Sure. They don't feel those aches and pains in their body. Okay, they haven't been working as long. They haven't been retrenched and fired and downsized. Okay, and you got to remember this too. Their parents were the children of people who went to war and survived the war. So the people who are over 50 know what it's like not to have because they heard it from their parents. This generation in the Western world hasn't starved. Their bellies have been full. And people only take action when they're and riot in the streets and fight and do something and make a difference when there's no food on the table. Okay, and while they're living under their parents' house, and while we've got this whole mentality that everything should be for free, and that this entitlement mentality that everyone is equal, and that you can do nothing and make as much money as someone, and money's not everything, and all of that stuff, until they realize that doesn't work. Because you have to give value in order to get money. Money is just the measure of the value you deliver to people, and until they realize that, they're not going to be the ones. So I think the biggest waste of time would be for me to try to work with people who don't want my help.
You're probably right. You're exactly right. I look at my little brother, and he says, actually, my brother-in-law is a classic example. Sorry, we're deviating, but you're speaking to my heart. He gets out. He graduates from college, Brigham Young University. We're a bunch of Mormons over here. And anyways, he says, "Okay, I graduated. Where's my job?" And I said, "Well, you gotta interview. You gotta go." And I think three months later, he was so angry. He said, "I put in the time. I put in the. Of course, his parents paid for it, but I put in the time. Where's my job?" And he's 10, 12 years younger.
And that's not uncommon. And maybe because we struggled in school, we were hungry. We were hungry to learn, and we were hungry to get something, but that need wasn't met for us. So we looked at something else. I looked at the music business. Maybe I can see Metallica on stage performing. They're making money. They're entertaining people. They're famous. They've got everything they wanted. That's what I want. Okay, I want that because I couldn't get. I mean, we tried hard in school. You sit there, you listen, you're trying. It's not like people don't go deliberately to mess things up. When they mess things up, it's because they're not getting it.
Right.
They get frustrated. They get frustrated and annoy people and grab things and want to smash stuff because they can't get it. Right. So what happens to people like us who the system doesn't work for? We look for alternates, whereas I feel sorry for kids actually now because I've heard so many horrible stories. Like the smartest kid in my high school, he got awards for everything, and when he was winning awards, I was sitting there going, why aren't I winning awards? Like I wish I was him. I wish I could be smart as him. I was average at sports, average at below average in education level, and just hopeless at everything to do with school, right? So basically now that guy he's struggling in the real world. He's basically when I heard from someone that he was addicted to drugs and all sorts of stuff, because the school set up a false expectation of what the real world will do. And the teacher used to say to me and my friends, when you guys get in the real world, you'll be finished. You know, you guys are lazy. You guys are going to be council workers, you know, standing there with your shovels and doing nothing, you know, waiting the traffic by. You know, that's what he used to call us. He used to call us the council workers. Okay, it's like the government workers that are sitting on their shovels. That's what they would call us. So you can't tell from school who's going to pop and who's going to flop just because of grades. Because Robert Kiyosaki said your banker doesn't ask for your report card.
No,
your banker
doesn't.
asks to see your financials. Right. And I think the school system, they set up a false expectation and a mentality. And this has happened also with many of my wife's friends as well. The most intelligent, brilliant people, they could have done anything in the world. So smart, so academically fantastic. They could have been, brain surgeons or diplomats in, whatever. And they don't care about money. They don't care about that. And they're struggling to find their purpose, because all their life in the most important years, from the age of 5 to I think the first 5 years are most important, but the next phase, which is from 5 to 18, that whole time was a false sense of a world that doesn't really exist when you get out to the real world. Whereas, when I left high school, there was no work. We had a recession in 1992. So when the first thing that me and my friends did was we went down to the local dole office, where we basically Social Security, and we signed up for the dole while we looked for work. So we were on that for 6 months on unemployment benefits straight away. I don't think you can do that in America. I think it's much better here, but in Australia you can actually you do that. But it's not a nice thing that we had basically no hope at all because of the belief system of the school that we left, and we signed up for that straight away, and we had no idea what we wanted to do, and so I think that's the problem with the school system, and this is why I always tell people, when you're starting your business, don't be hard on yourself. I heard Tony Robbins say a fantastic quote. He said, most people underestimate. Oh, excuse me. Let me start again. I did a mess up. Most people overestimate what they can do in 12 months, but they underestimate what they can do in 10 years. If you could create an online business in the next 10 years, if I said to you, if you stick at this and you do what I taught you here, and you go and learn, and you learn new stuff, and you implement, most importantly, you do stuff, in 10 years' time, you will be much better off financially than if you worked in a job all that time, and you'll be much happier. Okay, because in 10 years, what you can do in an online business, if you're committed and you spend 8 hours a day on there instead of in a job, you're on your online business, then you can make a lot of money very quickly. And most people, unfortunately, won't do that because they're looking for something easier that doesn't exist.
Sure. I agree with that. So do you have kids, Stephen?
No.
I just was wondering what your take would be to help educate and teach kids, because I have 6 kids. What you would do so that your kids don't grow up. I mean, we homeschool our kids now, but they're all young, so I don't know.
I respect all parents who have kids, because to me I would rather build a business any day of the week versus building up a kid, because I think that's probably the most hardest, unpredictable thing you can do. And that's why I tell parents who are starting out, I respect you a lot, because you're working in a job. You're raising kids, which is another job. So you've got 2 jobs already. Now you're going to try and build an online business in the other time you have. I think that, I can't really teach parents something about parenting because I've never done it. So,
Sure.
It's like, I love kids. They're fantastic. But I know they can make you tear your hair out sometimes, because I've seen it with my friends and stuff like that.
Sure.
But what I would say from what I've heard, only from what I've read in books, and what I've heard and what I've seen, is that, to be a good parent, to teach your kids, you got to show them what to do, not tell them what to do. And they will copy. they'll copy what you do. And I love something Richard Branson said. I mean, look at Donald Trump's kids. You know, Donald Trump's kids, you know, they're fantastic kids. Everyone says how fantastic they are. They work within his business. And there's not too many kids that want to work in their parents' business. Okay.
That's true.
And it's a good sign, because most kids, parents, they own a farm. As soon as they grow up and they get the hell out of there. They don't want to work on the farm because they see their parents struggling. So they're going to be looking at you and what you're doing, and they're going to look to you and see if you give up. So, you know, they're just watching. They're watching in the back. And I always say, don't talk, do. Okay, show people by example, whether you're building an online business. This happens with relationships. We have a lot of people who work with us who their partner's not happy with what they're doing. And I said, don't look for water in dry wells. Don't go and talk about your online business to people who aren't supporting you. Go and find people who will support you and who will encourage you and lift you up. You know, the last thing you need to hear if you're getting started is from your partner or from your friends, you know, oh, what are you doing this week? You know, because that's what happened to That's what happens to all successful people. They make fun of you. You want to be around people who support you. So find someone who can support you. Create a support group of people who are smarter than you at what you're trying to do, and then put your kids in that environment as well. You know, but not by force.
Right.
They've got to want to come. They've got to want to come. And, you know, the chances are your kids will never want to do what you want to do or what you want them to do. And you just have to support them and be there for them to nurture. Now, you know, I'm not even a parent, but I've just heard people say that, you know, so
Sure.
I think that's good advice. It makes sense, but whether you can implement it when you've got so much investment into your kids' future and stuff, you know, that's easier said than done, I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, I've taken a lot of your time. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
I feel connected to you. I feel like not only your podcast, I feel like we've met. Now we have, thank you. But
You're welcome.
you speak a lot. You speak to my heart, which is very similar. So.
Oh, thanks, bro. Thank you. It's my pleasure.
We did vote for Trump here. So in a. In a sea of. So I live in Southern California, just north of LA. And in a sea of what they call blue, which is the Democrats, where there's very few red down here.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's just hope he can fix up the country and get those jobs that were shipped offshore back and help to make the country good. Because, you know, I think like what was really, really interesting for us, you know, outside of the States, and I think the whole world was watching. I think what was really, really great was the way that they fought, okay, for their points of view, and the way how much passion there was. But then at the same time, at the end, how nice it was that President Obama had President-elect Trump together, sitting down and educating him on that role, even though they totally disagreed with that thing. Because that's what democracy is, you know, and I think that that's why, you know, people who do love America for that. And I think that it was getting a little bit off track with how, you know, there was too much special interest involved, and the people were suffering. You know, at the end of the day, you know, to me, it looked like people were suffering in the middle of America, and they just had enough, and they needed something different, and that's what it was. You know, I think a lot of the media they made things out like, you know, saying about racism and bringing race into it. I think at the end of the day, it was all about people are starving in the middle of America. People have lost their jobs. There's no future for their kids. There's a heroin epidemic. There's drugs coming across the borders, you know, and something's got to be done about it. Let's just hope that, you know, he can do what he's promised, because otherwise he's going to look pretty stupid if he doesn't. And at the end of the day, the average American will suffer, okay, and it's not good for the rest of the world if America's suffering.
Absolutely. You know, I think I've never been to Australia, so maybe it's the same there, but here we represent, the United States of America sort of represents a hope for a lot of the world. And there was a loss of, not a loss, maybe a wavering in the hope as things, as you said, where they focus more on the special interests. It was starting to, you know, angle away, whichever way you want to angle, I don't know. But, and I think it was really, we watched the election. It was, I would say here, I don't know how it was there, but it was more popular than the World Series. People, my neighbors are, the majority of them are Democrat, and they just come over in tears. And I told them, I said, look, we think different. We're politically different, but at my house, we're politically neutral. You're always welcome. You're friends. But I said, realize this. At the end of the day, he isn't God. He's not a dictator. So he has to work within bounds too. But I think the people just spoke out for what they needed to change. They needed to change. So hopefully, I hope you're right too.
Yeah, and I think I think the media as well scared a lot of the people in the blue states. The media was very, very scary. I mean, I watched both sides. I was streaming from YouTube every day, both channels. So CNN and Fox, and then in Australia, we're completely biased in Australia against Trump because he's threatening the Trans-Pacific Agreement partnerships, which we're the Trans-Pacific Partnership. So those deals could affect our country. So, I mean, the propaganda against Trump in our media, it was 10 times worse than CNN. I mean, I don't know if you saw the newspaper. And CNN was brutally bad. There was a newspaper that came out in Australia when he won, and it said WTF on the front page of the biggest newspaper in Sydney. It was like, what, So I think that a lot of people are scared and nervous, but I don't think there's anything to be really worried about in terms of what he's going to do and all of that stuff. There isn't. The sad thing is there isn't a lot of change that one person can make in a short period of time with all the bureaucracy and all of that stuff. Anyway, but anyway, we'll see how it goes. And I think the most important thing is that people focus on what they can control, and that's their business. Control your business. If Trump gets in and you're starting a business, you pay 15% corporate tax. I'll tell you what, I think America's going to make a lot of money from companies that leave their country where they're paying 30, 40%, and they're going to open their companies in America. So I think he's dead right about that. More people will be opening businesses in the States and therefore paying taxes that you're currently not getting. So
sure.
I think it's a brilliant idea, and making business regulations less can help as well. As long as it's done properly. See how it goes.
Yeah, we will. Well, my friend, I appreciate your time. Totally appreciate it.
You
One
too,
of these days, maybe we'll end up. If you ever talk down here, please send me an email. I'll come.
Yeah, definitely, mate. We've been there a few times. We've been to LA and been to Colorado and done some shows out there. So we'll definitely let you know. Jump on the list and we'll send out something.
You bet. I appreciate it. Have a great day.
Thanks, champion. All the best, mate. God bless. Bye-bye.
Okay, talk to you soon. Bye-bye.